Maintenance of way cars. We probably see stuff like this that bangs around in town. This one here's a model of a Walthers Sperry Rail Service number 129. It showed up in a channel donation, and its turn has finally come up to get worked on and see what we can do with it. I did a lot of research into rail detection cars. What are they? What do they do? How do they do what they do? And as usual, this is the very first time I've ever got into one of these things. Every one of the revivals I do, I haven't practiced on them or never opened them up before. I'm going through it the very first time with you guys, doing what it takes to fix these things. So let's see what this journey's gonna be like. Let's take a little look at this thing and see what it may or may not do. It's got a little click to it. Yeah, it's a Walthers. That front truck's hanging up. I hope it doesn't have a bad gear. Get in there and see what's going on. Take it apart, root around. The body looks to be in really pretty nice shape. For some reason, somebody decided to scratch off the 1, renumber it 29. That was odd, because this is a model off of a real rail service thing. This is a real deal here. Looks like we probably lost an air tank right down under there. Something should be glued in right there. Golly, it's got kind of a kit form to it. It's got a Phillips screw on this side and a standard screw over there. Is that going to do us anything? Does that just hold the plow on? I'll see what it does. Nope, the plow's starting to flop in the wind, so... Oh, that's nice. I'll get this out of the way, so that way I don't break it when I'm working on it. I really thought that was the way in, though, because this looks just horrific. Just pry on it till something lets loose. Yeah. Well, what do we have to do here? I ain't never seen. No wonder it's here. Once you build it, you can't take it apart. Or once you buy it, one of the two. I don't know if it's a kit or not, but it is just not. I'm taking the body off, but I can see that the windows they're not. Holy moly. That I didn't like. Okay. Now stuff's just falling off to be mean. You gotta be kidding me. I mean, something's happening. Oh, we're getting closer, I swear. Well, that took way too much time. It's because this kept cutting away. The windows weren't glued to the... Hey, look, it's DCC. Fantastic. Don't make it so you can take the bulb out. No. Let's see, the blue one goes to the black wire, and the white one goes to the black wire. That helped. Look at this. It's got a little band drive on it. Here's a couple little screws. I see them right here. So I can let us take this whole truck right out of the chassis. Ooh, that one. Okay. There's a boss right up in here. Over here, it broke off. It's like stuck on the motor, stuck in it. Man, this is a super, super poor design. My goodness. So that's up inside here, spinning around. So how in the heck am I supposed to be able to get that out to glue it back in? That's just terrible. Can we take this off right here? Yeah. And we can maybe get in there and look at them gears. See what that click was. Are these pickups right there? Oh my, I don't like this pretty much at all. That is the smallest, nastiest thing I've ever seen. These are going to sort of pop out, yeah. Sure. Here's a little belt. Cutest little thing. This is like this reminds me of working on N gauge. This is all its extra weight right here. See, we've got a little flywheel on it right there. This rear motor mount is kind of holding it in. Holy. So somebody did some creativeness to it because this isn't factory. Ooh, what's happening here? Oh, that made it easy. Yeah, now we can pull it out. Lift it under here. Lifted it under there. There he is. It certainly is not dry. Truck side frames come off. I just have to take it apart just to see what everything is. I just can't help myself. It is actually an 8-wheel pickup because there is you can see a conductive brass strip right along here that's been painted black that goes to there. And this would have originally just went up to the motor and then also went up to the headlights. But since somebody's done a DCC conversion to it, there's weight up here in the body, and this whole mechanism right here is weight. So they've got a lot of weight put on this thing. So I'm gonna get the Q-tip out, clean these gears up. Oh, shoot. I can see the crack right there right now. That's why she was a-clicking. This one's tight. Still gonna clean it up. Maybe I could make a shim and I could press it over the end of this right here. If I've got the right size, maybe a guy can do that. We'll find out. More research. So we got the rear pickups on the track, the decoder and the motor's sitting over here, and I want to know what manufacturer this decoder is. I go to this here, and we are going to, of course I don't memorize, because I don't use it enough. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the use program track, and I'm going to come over here, click in standard, and I want to know what the manufacturer of the decoder version is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Use program track, enter. I want to go 1 standard. Comes up with a manufacturer of 11. So I went to the NMMRA guide for the numbers, and I scrolled through over here until I found number 11, and it's telling me that it's an NCE decoder. You hit the enter button again, and you see it's a decoder version number 35. Well, what does that do for me? But you can keep hitting enter, and you can see what's been going on in there. I'm just rolling down through this list right here. We want to back out of it. So now we're just back to the main menu. I'm thinking if I turn the knob, the motor should spin. That motor should spin. That motor's not spinning. Doesn't surprise me. Doesn't surprise me. Because that's what you find out with these. So then sometimes I like to go into this recovery program and do a factory reprogram. And that just wipes out any programming that's ever been done. That's somebody running, somebody, Mr. I know it all. And they just jam stuff in until it completely blows the whole thing. And then you've got something that you can start with, something brand new. Who's this Sperry rail service and what do they do? What are they up to? What's their main claim to fame? We see them all over the place. I didn't know anything about it until I started doing research for this video. Here's what I found on the Google machine, digging around, and I might paraphrase a little bit just for, brevity. Perry Rail Service is a rail inspection company founded in 1928 by Elmer Ambrose Sperry. This company was the first one in the world to offer non-destructive testing of railroad rails. Dr. Sperry is a, what now? Oh, now he's doctor. Okay. Dr. Sperry is one of the most highly productive inventors of his time, holding over 400 patents. He's only eclipsed by Thomas Edison as far as the number of patent holders. The guy was busy, I guess. By the late 19th century, train derailments, which they believe many were caused by what they call transverse fissures, were increasing. Dr. Elmer Perry began developing a method for locating internal rail defects back in 1911. An operator lying on his belly, getting pushed around on a rail car, holding this thing out in front of him, was held up against the rail. And it did a good job of finding, they said, both kinds of fissures, but it says that serious difficulties were encountered during the testing process. I suppose. Guys out there, okay. Dr. Perry and his staff found a whole new way of finding fissures in the rails. Back in 1928, it was called the induction method. It also found split heads and other invisible defects. While this was a lot better than the original method, it had a little bit of shortcomings. It didn't do very good at the end of the rails, where they were bolted together with the bolts and the bars back in the day. And it also didn't do a very good job in the switches where the frogs come together, so those had to still be checked by hand. In 1960, the induction method was helped along by a new mobile, semi-automatic, ultrasonic inspection equipment that Sperry had invented, him and his team. What's the difference between induction and ultrasonic inspection methods? Well, induction one, I found this huge article and I edited it down to get to just the meat and potatoes of it. And there's no way I'm gonna be able to remember this and regurgitate it to you line by line. I'm just gonna read it off, throw some images up every now and then, because I don't use these kind of words day to day and it's a little tough. Induction testing requires the introduction of a high-level direct current around 1200 to 3600 amps into the railhead, establishing a magnetic field around the railhead. During this process, the railhead becomes an electrical circuit that flows longitudinally along the railhead. The induction sensor unit is then passed through the magnetic field. If you ever played with a magnet and some iron, some metal filings, and you put it down and you can see it makes this shape on it, well, that's what they're building. When motion is introduced, that means they move this along the rail, the sensor unit moves through the magnetic field and it detects a distortion in the concentric lines of force in the established magnetic field. This force is measured as a voltage. They'll see it and put the sensors and it'll make the needle go. If the sensor unit is passed through the magnetic field and there's no distortion, then the rail is serviceable. Any condition such as a defect will distort the current path. That sounds pretty straightforward. I like it. It's like magnafluxing. That's what it sounds like to me, that we use on engines back in the 70s and 80s and 90s. I don't know if they magnaflux anything anymore. With ultrasonic detection, the search unit houses multiple sensors aligned in various planes in relation to the railhead. These are used to allow the detection principle of ultrasonic testing. Here's an image we got here. The image on the left shows a probe, sends a sound wave into the test material. There are two indications, one from the initial pulse of the probe and the second due to the back wall echo. The right image, or the right half of this picture, shows that a defect creates a third indication and simultaneously reduces the amplitude of the back wall indication. The depth of the defect is determined by the ratio. So they could just see how the waves are reflecting, the sound wave makes the tell that there's a hey, we got to fix this. That's what they're saying. Yeah. Holy moly, there's our science lesson for the day. Let's get back and see if we can get this thing running. Well, here I went through all that to figure out who made this decoder, and it looks like really all I had to do was just flip it over, and it says NCE, and this is a D102SR, which they don't make anymore. Best I can tell, it was made around 1998, and there's no online reference for it. But the joyous thing about these is that the color codes, they're universal with all decoders. Seeing as how the more I handle it, the more we keep losing solder connections. You can still work on them without a manual because of the way that they are. I guess since everything else is broke off, let's just take this one off too. There. When I was cleaning up this axle, and there's axle gears, and I'm going, man, that's going to be a hassle to make a sleeve for it. But I wondered, well, what's holding those rear ones together? Can I get really lucky and open this up? And I don't know, I'm just going to try. I'm just going to see. Maybe. Worst that can happen is that it doesn't. Well, I guess the worst that could happen is I completely break it, but... Oh, this one's not uncoupling as quite as easy as the other one did. Can you believe it? Ha 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 ha! Nice. This one comes with its own built-in parts. Spare parts. Yes, 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 yes. I'm probably going to get out a magnifying visor and really eyeball those. Put the cracked one in the back. Nice. Oh, I'm glad I thought of that. One of these, so we can really, really get in there. Eyeball it. Are these wheels all the same size? Yep. So you're going to hold this together, being that it's cracked? No. 3/16 532s. It still kind of needs a sleeve. Is this one too big, too small? It is too big. My goodness. So I guess what I'm going to do, since I can't make a sleeve for it, and it's not going to be a drive gear. I just needed to keep the wheels engaged. So we're going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of this. We're going to check it with this. We're going to let that set up a little bit. We're going to steal one of these because it's not cracked. Yep, that's going to go to the front. I got one more chance to do this too. Look at that. Lots of happiness there. I got to finish cleaning all this white grease out here. Q-tips, mineral spirits, scrubbing her up. I stumbled upon this video on the YouTube that was talking about the most unattractive hobbies that men can have. It was a top 10 list. I know. As soon as you heard that, probably thinking the same thing I was thinking. God, don't let model railroading be on there. And wouldn't you believe it? There it is, number 6. Building model trains. I can't believe it. I mean, some of them I can see. Video gaming. The younger guys are into that. So, but taxidermy. It's like, well, that's like one of the manliest things. Unbelievable. Oh, this list was compiled by females. I probably should have said that at the beginning. Online trolling, that's actually a hobby. Oh, I guess that is a hobby. Oh my goodness. Hey, since we stopped the movie, let's go ahead and take a little time right now to slip in this week's Classic Model Trains Classic Model. Do you guys know who this is? Tell me if you do. Put it in the comments. If you don't, wait till the end. Tell you who it is. Let's get back into it. We are getting ready to start the assembly process of this. Everything is all cleaned up. For some reason, people like it when I say we're going to use the super lube on it. I don't know, but that's fine. Just some, and a toothpick. I want to grease up these axle bosses just right in here. But I kind of want to stay off that spring so that it doesn't get contaminated over time. And then, of course, you got the springs. We've got a little bit of spring tension. So we're going to roll this in and down, push it in. Here's the one that we glued. Yeah. Get the keeper put back in place. Remove the side frames and everything. We're going to bring this in from the top. This whole thing just feels so spindly. It's like very delicate. Like it's going to just snap in half at any moment. Don't really like it. They have these wires hot glued down in here, and I don't think I'm going to do that. Sure. Yep. Why? Well, because this goes over it, so you're never ever going to see it. With just the littlest of, look at these little things. Hold that in. Every little piece we add, though, makes it one more stronger. 3 screws total to hold this thing in, this extra weight. This interior detail. I really don't like the way they did these wires. If you want to DCC it, they had wires right there going up to the motor to use for the pickup, but they spliced it back some. You know, and finding heat shrink this size, it is difficult. It's not impossible because of the Amazon thing out there. But let's just fix that, because that's just not a way to go through life. This had been painted right over the solder bloobs, but put this little heat shrink on, maybe. It is little. Oh my. This here's some 30 to 18 gauge. Is that going to get us down small enough? It almost doesn't seem like it. That'd be one heck of a shrink. Is this going to work? Oh man, I really blew it. Those are too big and they don't flex, and it's going to look like ick on there. Really bad. After blowing it by putting this way too big a heat shrink on, I had to take that weight back off, splice them here, and then I used the heat shrink that I wanted to use in the first place that I could get on. A little bit longer wires. Yep. So we'll hide this under here with the tape again, but then this will, you know, then I got my color coding going on for the trucks and where the pickups are going to be at and everything. So it's more better now. I tried to half it and I shouldn't have. Well, since this little boss is broken off over there and it's stuck in here, we're going to throw a little CA on there. This motor just clips in like this in the back, and then you push her down, clip it like that. And I'm going to believe that this is probably the positive side of the motor. Just, you know, I got to take a guess on something, so I'm just going to guess at that. Put a little bit of McLovin right there. Get this thing in place. Now, what do we do over here? I think I need to clamp it. It's got to have something on it for a little bit. Guess we'll try that. Let the glue dry. Well, we got the wires shortened up, and I've tinned the end of it, and I've threw a little more solder down on the truck connection down here. So we'll just warm this up a little bit there. So now we got our juices from the front truck to the back truck all hooked up. I'm going to assemble this front truck here. We've got worm gears here on the shaft, and we can move these bushings out of the way, which makes it really nice. So we'll do that. Get a little bit of lube on there. Get this feller back in. Push him down. Push this one down. Yeah, this little fella right here keeps the whole thing in line. Want to get a little lube on the worm gear. Just some lube on these, where these axles are going to ride. Yeah. Push them down. Get those pickups on there. We want to see if they're getting their juices everywhere. Go to horseshoe mode. Yeah. No. Yes. 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 Alrighty then. Get a little grease on them gears. I'll spin this drive shaft here. Am I gonna spin it? I am spinning it. I didn't see anything going on here. Why ain't nothing happening? It actually binds up a lot. So now what have we done? Get this little O-ring on up over here. It'll be easier to spin it with the motor. Yeah, that ain't spinning. What have we done? Just continues to impress me. So here we are, and we've got good. It's spinning the jack shaft in there, for lack of a better term. Why won't we spin these? Did I put them in backwards? Maybe they only go in one way. Holy moly. Why won't they spin? So this one was, well, now they seem to be a little happier. Not much. Guess I just had to hold my mouth right. Okay, I guess. Now we're gonna solder in our pickups for the decoder. Red goes on this side. Black is gonna be on this side. Orange goes to motor positive, which I'm gonna use this one right here. And the gray one is gonna go over here on the other side. And these two are left over for light. It should actually be able to run like this. Let's take a look and see before we put too much more work into it. The original plan of Dr. Sperry was to build these cars and sell them to the railroads. You know, maybe to train the guys how to use the stuff and then just go that route. But none of the railroads wanted to buy any of this stuff. So he decided to go into the rail detection service. So that means you got specialized guys that operate this equipment all the time. They're going to be better at detecting faults than Jimmy the switcher and an old Elroy guy that lights the lanterns on the front of that, you know what I mean. Okay, these guys, they're better off. They're better at doing it because they've done it more and more. Most of these mobile testing platforms were built out of existing rail cars, self-propelled, or things they call doodlebugs. A doodlebug, or sometimes called a hoodlebug, is a nickname in the United States for a type of self-propelled rail car, most commonly configured to carry both passengers and freight. Interchangeable with the word jitney, the name is said to have derived from the insect-like appearance of the units, as well as the slow speeds at which they would dawdle or doodle down the road. Early models were usually made out of a gasoline engine with a gear-type drivetrain, and then they went gasoline with a generator, and then later on they were converted over to diesel generator, diesel electrics, as we're referring to, as we're familiar with now. This unit I've been working on, the 129, was built in July 1925 as Lehigh Valley number 29 Doodlebug. The body was built by the St. Louis Car Company and was powered by a Winton 106A 6-cylinder gasoline engine. It was converted into a Sperry rail inspection car in April of 1938. These inspection cars carried a crew of 4, a driver, 2 technicians, and a cook. These crews, they worked, they slept, they lived in these cars while they were out testing track, and they're out for quite some time. These cars included 4 bunks, a shower, a bathroom, a kitchen. Yeah, they were nice. They were nice for their time, I suppose. Recently, Sperry 129 has been parked up at the Danbury's Metro North Station in Danbury, Connecticut. Digging around on the internet, I was unable to determine if it's at the Danbury Railroad Museum or if it's at some random Danbury depot it's got graffiti on the side of it now, and I just couldn't tell. I did see that the Danbury Railroad Museum has Sperry railcar number 135 there. Maybe one of them fellers that live out there in the Connecticut area can fill me in on where the heck it is. We should get back into this though and see how it's going to turn out. It was acting like it was binding. We couldn't get anything consistent out of it. And I still can't. We got her pegged out over here, 12, well it's not pegged out, but 12 and a half, 13 volts. And here she is. And sometimes I can spin this motor and then it'll do something. And then it won't. And then it will, and then it won't. Who knows if it's the decoder or not? I'm gonna pull that out. I'm gonna wire it up normally because it just doesn't do anything. It's so intermittent. It's such a pile. Here's what we are looking at now. Got the drive belt on. I got it wired up where it's just a DC only kind of thing. So I know I've got just consistent power. You got the front truck in and you can spin this and you can get the truck to spin at the same time. And I can put it on the track and it'll drive back and forth It's kind of pathetic, but it will. You put this one in, then this one won't turn. And you swap these front to back, and then the back ones you thought maybe had something wrong with it will work just fine in the front, but this one won't work. And this has got about one of the worst electrical pickups systems in it I've ever seen. Just nasty. You know, when you put this axle in, it goes in and it kind of clicks into place. And I'm just wondering if this part is just too tight and it won't allow it to turn. You put all this in and then, oh, so now it's going to do it, huh? Nope, see there, it quit. The belt is slipping because it's hung up. Now we're going forward, more forward, seems to be working. How's it going to work on the track? It'll go one way, poorly. The other way, nope. Strangest thing. And it is just flat out right now. Them boys of Walthers really outdid themselves here. This axle is, well, depending on what day of the week it is. Here, let's try this again. 7:30. Now it's 7:20. Now it's 7:20. Now we're 10 off. 7:30. 775. This is a 5/64" drill bit. Suppose I can go through here and maybe just give it a little, it needs to be loosened up some, just a little bit. This is going to hold it all together when it's all together. What is this going to do for me? Is it going to blow the whole thing? Let's try it on the front too. Heck, can't hurt. Let's see what this does for us. I mean, it's a little better. So we got a gallop to it. I guess it's not made to be a big high speed thing. Now if I can get that cover on and it still works, then we might have something there. Yeah. It's interesting. It just bound it up tight. Won't run. I put the cover on and then the wheels wouldn't roll, but it was doing really good. So there's little nibs right here, and then these ones right here also push down on that jack shaft with the worm gears on it. So I am going to take all of these and I'm going to give them a little file with my square file here and take off just some, a little bit less than too much, and see if that will loosen this up. It's just the dangest thing how it did run, and then I take it apart and then I mess with it and then it doesn't run. We're not going to DCC it anymore. It's just going to stay DC. So I'm going to file this, throw it in, see what happens. Well, I'm guessing this is about as good as she's going to get right there. It's got just a tiny little bit of a gallop to it. Not that bad. But it's just, the quality is just so poor. The way the body snaps on. And I didn't even bother to hook up the headlight on it. It's just like, man, just sell this to somebody who needs parts for one, because I don't know if you can hear that gallop on it. This is 5 volts. Here, if we put it full out, there's 10. This is wide open, so that's about the best that it's done so far. Plus, I don't got to give it the finger, the little shaky every time we change directions. I don't know, maybe it came out all right. For what it is, you know, a maintenance away car. Up there, see, it just stalled out. You pile. God. 4 volts. Still clicking along. You can really see the gallop in it now. These 129s, you can have them. While working on this thing there towards the end, I was actually having visions of maybe putting it underneath my truck tire and doing a burnout on it. I mean, it actually ran before I started working on it, and the more I worked on it, the worse it got. I'm like, what? I'm cursed. It was the dangest thing. But we did get it running consistent now. It's lubed up, doesn't have a broken gear anymore. So it worked out really, really well. Last week's video, we sat there and asked you to interact with the video. Do a thumbs up, put a comment in there, because it helps feed the algorithm, which sends out the video to more people, sends out the advertisement. so that other people get to see the advertisement and they might find out, hey, look, there's another train channel. Let's join it. Here's what our efforts did. 6 days, because I'm filming this right now on Sunday, so it's only been out for 6 days. It's currently got 11,005 views. That's good. That's a lot, you know, for my channel. Some videos don't hit that hard. This one really did. But why it did it is because it's got 1,300 thumbs up. I know, thank you guys so much for doing that. It's got 439 comments on it. All these analytics that YouTube comes up with allowed this video to be seen 53% more than the average videos that I've put out on my channel. Not that my videos are average, but the average, you know, view rate. Thank you guys. Love it. Keep the thumbs up coming in. If you like the program, consider subscribing. Throw a comment down below. Oh, our model of the week. Yeah. It's the way a lot of guys wait for. Last week, guys were mad. Not mad, man, but I had a lot of comments like, hey, where's classic model of the week? This model of the week, guess who it is? That is Cassandra Peterson. She's the actress that dresses up and plays the character Elvira. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining in. I'm Ron. Classic Model Trains. Bye-bye. Looks like the two companies that are making these reproduction HO models of these is Walthers, and then a company making a brass locomotive called Hallmark out of Japan. Walthers got quite a few numbers of them available. They make a 127, which is what they call their old. They got them in 123, which has got the 1960s to 1980s theme. They've got the 124, which they just call new. And then the 129, the one that I've been working on, just doesn't have anything on it at all. Just the 129. Some of these might have factory DCC. This one here didn't. Prices range for these things on the eBay I dug up. This is sold prices. If they're non-runners, like this one was when I got it, 15 to 20 bucks. If they do run, get anywhere from about 50 to 145 for them, depending upon the condition of the model and the box, and of course, running condition. If you're lucky enough to have one of them Hallmark brass ones though, oh man, you can get anywhere from 125 up to this one here that's sold for $279. Oh, I wonder if it runs better than the 60s brass. We should get back into this though and see how it's going to turn out.